Hello, welcome to Dad's Dad Job. This is the morning after. um, this ain't great, is it? This is not great. Yeah, live under the cameras. Started very, very well in terms of Paquetá getting his first goal of the season of an absolute worldie. I mean, the sorry, my camera keeps zooming in and out. There we go. Yeah, scored an absolute worldie, and things look bright. I mean, even when Chelsea got a goal back with Cucurella beating Paquetá in the air, um, we went straight up the other end, and Fulkrug got a second, and obviously that was cancelled out by VAR. But once they got the second goal, which is dubious decision anyway in terms of the foul from Chalobah. I mean, I thought he leant in with his elbow, but looking at the replays, I don't think his elbow even touched Paquetá in the face. So it probably stood for the right reasons. But since then, it was just head down. That was it. We got no chance, and it portrayed that throughout the rest of the game. But it will be interesting to see what your thoughts are. But just speechless, really, in terms of going 3-1 down at half time at home. And then we've got an abundance of use on the bench in terms of Callum Marshall, but Potter decided to use a different Callum, and that was Callum Wilson. And in fairness to Callum, as much as I'm not his biggest fan, I thought he'd done relatively okay, and he looked like he had something to prove. And I like to see players like that, but taking Fulkrug off, I mean, it looked like he was a bit of a blanket. Like, looked a bit weak in the air, being out muscled by the defence, and it does raise questions as to if, for the instance, if a bid came in for Fulkrug from a German club for about 10 million quid, would you take it? And it does make you wonder whether. If we could get another striker in that could offer a bit more physicality on the floor rather than in the air, then maybe we might have a standard chance. But yeah, we've left it late again, haven't we? I mean, I was going to do a go back in time sort of transition, but I couldn't get my stream working properly to how I wanted it. But I was going to say on the 25th of May 2025, we beat Ipswich 3-1, and even back then it was evident that we needed legs in midfield. I mean, we got away with it against an already relegated side, but it's clear that we needed it. And as much as people are jumping on the bandwagon of youth, I'm not entirely sure. My initial reaction was, we don't need him. We've got Ollie Scholes. And if Emerson was going to stay that additional season, then I would see that out and then let Emerson go on a free next summer. But we've bought into youth. There's a lot of hope and promise there. Obviously, his cameo against England in a 3-1 win or 3-0 win, kind of increased the interest in the player. And we accelerated that interest and bought him for his £19 million plus a few million in add-ons. In pre-season, he looks okay. He looks very quick. Can get a cross in. That's great. But I question whether he was needed at 20 years of age. I mean, he's the same age group as Ollie Scholes, but I think Ollie Scholes is probably, I would have been starting him over the youth this season, just purely because of the Premier League experience. And it's a tough one because I really want Jiv to work out. I really want Jiv to be the player to watch out for West Ham this season, Hammer of the Year in contention. But I think maybe with no Premier League experience, it's probably and not even top 5 Europe experience. not even top 5 Europe experience is how can I put it? There's no transition. So, like, if you're going from a lower league in Slovakia or Czech Republic or any teams like that, you tend to do a jump up to a lower league team in the top 5 European leagues, and then you develop yourself, and then you make a bigger move to. I'd like to think West Ham are one of the top 10 clubs in the Premier League to a level like that. Then that's great, but I think youth going from the Czech league, there's an argument there to say Souček done exactly the same thing. That is true, but I think youth, just because of his age, it does concern me that he's probably too young in to be playing in such a pressurised role for West Ham. And I think his first game against Sunderland, it looked like we was defensively inept on that left hand side with Diouf and the Gerd. It looked like it didn't work, and it looked like it definitely didn't work yesterday. But another summer signing that come in, Madsen. I mean, he's had an absolute shocker, isn't he? He's had an absolute shocker of a couple of weeks. He signed on the day that we played Lille in the pre-season. He made his debut 7 days later against Sunderland, and he's played again within another 5 days against Chelsea, and he shipped 8 goals. It's not great, is it, for a goalkeeper? Is it? Like, it's not great to be shipping that amount of goals early on in your West Ham career. I've already seen the labels of we've got another Alan McKnight on our hands, or a potential Roberto, and I think it's a bit harsh because I do think he is generally a good keeper, but it's a layering effect, because your keepers need your defence to be solid in front for you to be able to play that you want to play, and the same goes for the defence. The defence needs centre midfielders in front to protect them, to ensure that they can play the way they want to play, and then it's also about you're dropping back. So the issues in the squad don't just occur in defence. The core of the issues is in midfield, and it's evident again. Like, even with Freddie, I love Freddie Potts. I like the story. I like the fact he's a West Ham boy. I like the fact he's won Player of the Year twice at Wycombe Wanderers and Portsmouth, and but even coming on as a sub, being 3-0 down. Sorry, my hair is fucking mental. I don't. Even coming on as a sub against Chelsea, being 3-1 down, he looks well off the pace. Physically, he looks trim, but not bulky enough to. It doesn't feel like he's strong enough in that position. I'm not criticising him. I'm not throwing him under the bus. I think it's fantastic if you support the club that you love, and your dad's a legend, and your brother plays for the club as well. It's a great thing to do, to wear that West Ham shirt and know that you're going to give 110%. But physically, I don't think he's cut out for it. I genuinely don't think he's cut out for it. And I think he's going to be on the back burners this season in terms of being in the squad, coming on, making a few cameos. And I think this is a development season for Freddie Potts at top flight, coming in, getting those minutes, because I think the last thing you want to do is rush him in and he ends up becoming a casualty, and we end up selling into a championship side in January. And I think sometimes you just need to slow it down a bit, let him come in, ease him in, last 15 minutes, and then raise it to 20 minutes, cut games here and there, playing in amongst the squad. And I think next season is probably when you'll see the best of Freddie Potts. I think this season he needs to learn at top flight, not go out and play at lower level. He needs to learn at top flight, like what Phil Foden did at Man City. I'm not saying he's Phil Foden. I'm saying he needs to learn the ways of the Premier League and learn to play amongst senior level players at the highest level. And also, he needs to put on some weight. Maybe you should go around Johnny Fisher's house and have a Chinese or something, because I looked at him on the pitch up against Paquetá, and you can just see that the muscular difference is evident, and I think he needs to be putting it on. So if you're going to rough it with the best in the Premier League, he played the second half yesterday against two players that are worth over £200 million, and it's just not what we need right now. If I don't want to romanticize about it, like relying on an academy player, but physically he's not there yet. He's not there yet, and that's why we need centre midfield reinforcements. But one of the most alarming things yesterday and laughable things yesterday was our defence in corners. How on earth have we conceded 3 goals from set piece plays in corners? It baffles me. 2 of them were a mistake from our defence and Hermansen. Going out punching and flapping. Like, the thing is, Hermansen is challenging the ball against their own defenders. Now, there's a lack of communication there. If you communicate amongst your peers, you don't make those mistakes. And it almost feels like our defence isn't focal enough. We haven't got a gritty defender in there that can basically give it back to the players and orchestrate things at the back. We haven't got that. Todibo looks a bit meek, if I'm honest. I think Kilman is very reserved in judgment. I think although he was captain at Wolves, I think he's quite quiet. I think Gerd is quite soft, or say soft, say like, how can I put it? It just seems like a nice person, and probably a bit too nice. And sometimes you want a bastard at the back, and I think that's what West Ham need. I think Todibo, if West Ham get a bid in from Italy or something to sell him for 35 million quid, just get rid of him. Not good enough for me. Not good enough for me. He had last season. There was an excuse there saying that he wasn't fully fit. It's just no point having him. I would play Mavropanos over Todibo, 100%. 100%. I think Mavropanos is probably the only one in that defensive makeup that's actually got a bit of bollocks about him. Will actually rough it with people, will actually win aerial duels. I think he would probably be my starter over Todibo. If someone come in for Todibo, I'd sell him in a heartbeat. I'm not gonna lie. I just think a lot of issues that have been surrounding in the dressing room over the past 12 months since his arrival, that he's had some input in that. He's had some input. But yeah, drop us your thoughts. What do you think? Like, do you think Todibo should stay or should he go? But we can moan about the on-pitch things. We can moan about the way we're playing. We can moan about how Graham Potter has had a significant amount of time getting, and probably the longest pre-season any manager's ever had, starting in January and then your first games in August. There was a very, very interesting stat that occurred on Sky Sports last night, and that was it done a table of West Ham's Premier League managers in terms of their win ratio and points per game average. David Moyes was top of that table. Rubbish football, but stats don't lie. Top of the table. Bottom of that table was Avram Grant with a 19%. 19% win ratio and 0.86 points per game. Second from bottom is Graham Potter. In 20 games, he's got 1 point per game ratio. Now, he was supposed to replace Lopetegui, and Lopetegui had a slightly better points per game ratio over 20 games, 1.15. And we sacked him after 20 games. Potter has played 20 games. And he's had longer than Lopetegui. So, another question there for the chat. Should the axe be wielded on Potter now? Like, nice enough fella, says all the right things. He's a PR merchant. Like, he very, very educated in sociology, and he's very educated in the ways of how to talk to people and man management and stuff like that. That's great. I mean, we've had Mark Phillips on the show, and we asked a question about Graham Potter, and he loves him. Loves him. He said he's a fantastic person, really good. Really gets out, puts himself out to be amongst the players, and he's all about unity within the dressing room. And sadly, I think this is probably one club that he's never gonna see that success from. But do West Ham wield the axe after 20 games, because it's the same amount of games Lopetegui had, and probably far less stick than what Lopetegui had. I was not a Lopetegui fan. I was not, and he did look like he was starting to get given an opportunity to go out and play good games. Sharky, thanks for joining the chat, mate. Can we sell to Debo? We can sell to Debo. So basically, the transfer in question for Tadebo is based off last year. So we got him in on an initial loan with a obligation to buy after West Ham secured Premier League football. So that £35 million that was transactioned on the 1st of July this year is effectively a transfer from last July or last summer. So that's part of the same deal. So although we've signed him for £35 million, that the transfer kitty's come out from this season's part, but the actual deal comes from last season. So we can actually sell him. We can't, we could loan him out. We could do exactly the same thing we've done to get him off the books and look for an application. But yeah, if someone from Italy came in for £30 million, would you take it? Would you take it? I'm asking you a question. Would you take it? Because I fucking would. I would, 100%. And I'd go get Harwood Bellis. I'd go get Esteve. I'd go get these young, hungry players that have got a bit of physicality about them. Tadebo's just too lackadaisical for me at the back. So yes, that would be my option. I'd get rid of him 100%. Potter should have left at the final whistle. Yeah, and you know what? I watched his interview yesterday, mate, and he looks a beaten man. He looks deflated. When you compare the photo of him on his first day to the photo of him from yesterday's interview, the body language is the best language in the world, and you can just tell he's defeated. This ownership has drained the life out of him, has not backed him. We was going into this summer with a lot of hope and aspirations in terms of what we was going to be achieving as a club in terms of, sorry, I'm just trying to get the focus on. Lots of hopes and achievements in terms of what we were going to be buying, and the youth academy coming in and stepping up and challenging for senior players. And sorry, my camera is fucking well blurry. There you go, that's better. But he looks like I'm not going to get what I want at this club. And it's almost like a realization, like it's almost like telling your daughter, right, you're gonna have a really nice day, and she's playing up, right? This is a very dad related thing. She's playing up, and you're going, all right, if you be a good girl, I'll get you an ice cream on the way home. Okay. So she be's quiet, she's a good girl, she's silent in the car. Get home, it's about 8 o'clock and it's bedtime, and she goes, I want my ice cream. You go, well, it's bedtime now. I'm going to have it tomorrow. Oh, it's that look. It's that look of disappointment. It's like you're waiting for your 99, but it ends up costing you £4.50, and you ain't going to have it anyway because you're going to bed. Well, what a perfect way of describing Graham Potter's tenure at West Ham. then segueing it into my daughter chat. But yeah, Potter, I feel for the guy. I genuinely do. I think he's come in. He's been sold a dream and been given a nightmare. Pretty much what every West Ham fan has been given. But he knew full well what he was taking on. So there is that side to it. Potter had 500 players at Chelsea and couldn't get a tune out of them. I think it was 44 players, wasn't it? And the only reason he left wasn't the fact that he wasn't getting a tune out of them, was the fact that Todd Bowley was not a fan of his hands-on man management. He didn't want the players to have a mate relationship with the coach. Bowley wanted a coach that was like, I'm the boss, you listen to me, a level of discipline and hierarchy that obviously that from an American sort of franchise point of view, the boss's word is final. So yeah, and I think Potter was trying to be too matey, understanding everything, and also that if you look at him on the High Performance podcast with Jake Humphries, I believe, he lost his dad as well. So when you lose your father figure in your life and you're trying to do your job at the highest level, where the club that you've joined has spent over £1 billion in players, and you've got to try and fit them all in, and you haven't got a changing room big enough to put them all with bums on seats in there. It's hard to kind of justify that. So I think the Chelsea situation is very unique. It's very early on in the new regime. So I think the Chelsea one is. I think any manager in that situation would need to have big cojones to get the best out of them. Hammerette, nice to see you again. That's not a ghost. That's my dog. That's my dog. But here he is. Let me just hide the chat. Here he is. He's opened the door. We are a clusterfuck of a club. What on earth has Potter see in playing this formation? 9 at the back, we can't defend. Buddy, shut up. 9 at the back, and we still can't defend. Yeah. The thing is, when ball possession wise, Buddy, shut up, mate. Shut up. Possession wise, it seemed to knock the ball about relatively okay, but when it's set pieces, we just collapse. We collapse. We can't cope with the speed of the attack from the player movement in the box. I mean, Cucurella beat Paquetá in the air yesterday. Buddy, shut up, mate. Cucurella beat Paquetá. How small's Cucurella? Even in a jumping manner, Buddy, shush, please. He beat him in the air, knocked the flick on, and then João Pedro beat Fulkrug in the air. But to be fair, that was Aaron Wan-Bissaka's fault. It's just the marking in the box. Ideally, the biggest signing we could make in the next week is getting a set-piece coach, someone that does attacks and defence. Kevin Nolan, that was his baby. And have we replaced him with a set-piece? Have we got a set-piece coach in? Do we know who does the set pieces? Defensively, it's questionable, isn't it? It is questionable. Set pieces is a big concern for me, especially aerial threats, aerial duels. Fulkrug, in his past 2 games, has produced the worst aerial statistics in his entire career. And we bought him because he's the best aerial threat in Europe. And work that one out. EHH. I think this is the worst set of defenders I've ever seen play for West Ham. On paper, you would suggest no. On paper, you would probably say Craig Dawson, wouldn't you? But when you put them on the pitch, the paper means nothing, doesn't it? So I think when you look at the defence, like in terms of squad depth, I think depth-wise, I think it's good. I just don't think they're being coached right. You can't tell me Agurd has gone over to Real Sociedad with Real Madrid knocking on his door, playing well and performing well, to come to West Ham and he's the worst defender at the club. I can't see that happening. Max Kilman, we bought him because he's a ball-playing defender for 40 million quid. He's a captain, he's a leader, he's gone through all the ranks and got the experience at a very early age, from Maidstone all the way to Wolves at lower leagues. Played with Nuno Espirito Santo, got the club promoted, and he ain't a bad player. You can't tell me he's a bad player. Todibo, who's been He's been at Barcelona. He's been at Nice, and he's come to us. You can't tell me he's a bad player, but it's just about fit. It's just about mix and blend, isn't it? Like Alvarez is, gone to Fenerbahce because he doesn't suit Premier League football. You look at the stats; his worst stats that he's ever played in his entire career have been at West Ham, and that's over 3 different coaches. So, is it the coach or is it, or is it the player? And I think it's the player. I just think it's just the standard of Premier League football is just not good enough for Alvarez. But yeah, the defenders like you got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Hammer of the Year last year, and he's a bad defender. No, not having that. Ollie Scholes, probably our most young, promising left wing back, and he's been benched for a player that we've got in from the Czech league. Is he a bad player? Is Diouf a bad player, or is he just too young? We've got Emerson sitting there and doing nothing. Didn't even kick a ball in pre-season. Kyle Walker-Peters, that's a fantastic backup for Wan-Bissaka. Didn't pay for him, did we? But I don't. I just think it's just the coaching setup. Like I just think the coaches, they want to play a certain way with 5 at the back. And I'm all for it. I'm all for wing backs. I do like that formation. When I look at that formation, I think of Brazil. I think of 2002 when they played 5 at the back with Roberto Carlos and Cafu playing the wing backs. We ain't got Roberto Carlos and Cafu. That's a dead cert. But we got Roberto Carlos. I'm saying this. I'm saying this now. As much as the hype train as Diouf has been on, and I've jumped on it a little bit in terms of doing a song for him. Diouf is on fire. Ollie Scholes is a better left wing back for me. That just says everything that I need to know. Madsen has got holes in his gloves. Yeah. As I said earlier, I think it's just a communication error at the back where. Sorry if this camera keeps zooming in and out. It's very temperamental. I do apologise. It's probably because I'm moving about and it's trying to catch me. If I just stand still, let's just see if it happens. No, nothing. I think Hamadson is. I think he's a good goalkeeper, as I said. I just think it's a communication issue. He's been there 2 weeks. And I think maybe the transition of him playing straight away is a bit too much, but if he's been brought in and he's been told he's number 1, he's going to be playing, isn't he? And there's no way Areola's going to be playing in the right frame of mind if he knows that he's going to be shafted out after 4 games in the season. So Areola is probably in the background looking for a move away, by the sounds of it. Bielsa or Ranieri I'd go for. We'll get some good football played. Well, Bielsa ain't going to leave Uruguay job. And Ranieri, I think, is retired now. So I know he's like the Tyson Fury of football, isn't he? Because he says he's going to retire and he manages to come back. No, I think Ranieri, I don't think will do us justice. If I had to, I don't like talking about other managers that could come in for Graham Potter, but there is a few managers that I do like. I'm trying to get his name up now. That I've been a big fan of, and that is, I'm such a big fan, I forgot his name. That was it. Abel Ferreira from Palmeiras. That would be the person I'd go for. But Sullivan needs to pay out the contract. He needs to pay off Potter, and then he needs to pay off Palmeiras to get Abel Ferreira. When we should have got him. And that was Tim Steiden's number 1 pick when he first come in, and David Moyes was in charge, and he was like, I want Abel Ferreira. Abel Ferreira, I think his contract runs out in January, I believe. So that'll be one to look out for. If people watch Claret and Booze yesterday, he had Sport X on his show as a live reaction. Go and watch that. That's really, really interesting, a good insight. And the amount of Brazilian links that we've been, or South American links that we've been passed on to or referred to is amazing. And the fact that we've signed none of them is even more staggering. It's just let's say Divering, and yeah, it's just not great. It's just not great. But Yeah, Abel Ferreira would be my pick. But if you're gonna look at other coaches, like coaches that could get the best out of the current squad, look at Thiago Motta, known for his 2-7-2 formation. Basically, he runs it vertically rather than horizontally, 2-7-2. So you got your two wingers, then you've got your central seven, including the goalkeeper in that formation. So when you want a ball playing defender or ball playing goalkeeper, and you're playing so your wing backs are out wide, and you don't forget about, I mean, you can just the middle, Thiago Motta, and the way West Ham have set up probably could work. That'll be my two suggestions. But I think in time, I think Will Still will probably get the job in a couple of seasons' time. So let's see how he gets on at Southampton. But Will Still, I think, is a fantastic person. Really good bloke. I've spoken to him a couple of times actually on Instagram privately, and he's generally a good bloke. Gone through a lot of personal issues with his girlfriend, but he's back home now. His girlfriend's on the road to recovery, and it looks like he's going to be managing with no pressure at all. What other comments we've got here? Imagining coming here from the Foxes and expecting it to be a step up. Yeah. Wonder if Potter would actually thought he was going to reignite his career here. Yeah, I think any manager that's out of work wants to come to West Ham and thinking they're going to do well. Yeah, what breed of dog I got? He's a Basset Hound. He's a Basset Hound, and a very needy Basset Hound, because he's moaning at me because it's his lunchtime. So if he is moaning, you can see. I don't even see how a midfielder incoming is going to make a difference now. Potter still won't change his system to suit our players. Maybe two midfielders with legs. I think you need two physical midfielders that can control the game from deep, and obviously move, have some sort of element in terms of movement. Movement is crucial. I think we'll probably be on the right road. James Ward-Prowse looks, as much as I appreciate his ball playing ability, few missed-time challenges, and I think age is probably catching up to him. Sadly, I think if we got the James Ward-Prowse 23 years of age, I think he'd probably be one of our best players at the club right now. But sadly, he's 31 years old, and we just bought him at the wrong end of his career. Falkhoff went off injured. I hope that's not the case. But I hope it's just a quick recovery. Happy Amaret. I've been going West Ham with my pops since I was 4 years old. Last night was the first time I wanted to leave at 70 minutes. Well, you was there a lot longer than most fans, mate, because I think most people left at half time, and even 50 minutes, 54 minutes, 55 minutes, I think they were clearing out. So so I think you've done well to get to that point of realising you need to leave the game at 70 minutes. But to be honest, I think this is just a clear indication as to why the ownership need to leave, because now you're letting down the old school fans as well as the new breed. And personally, I think the vast majority of fans that stayed in that stadium last night were tourists. It almost looked like watching the first game back from COVID, where you've got like a 5-seat separation in between people, and I think it's quite telling. That's like one of the commentators said that the visual aspects of the fans leaving the stadium is probably the biggest words that could ever be spoken. So actions speak louder than words is the phrase, but I think maybe. I don't know if I understand people have paid their money for season tickets and games, and they've gone out for a beer and gone out a meal at Stratford and gone and done all that. But the best indication so that this club know that we are not happy. They already know we're not happy, but to do it is in front of the media and walking out of that stadium, walking onto the concourses and making sure that there's empty seats on show, showing the fact that we are not happy as a club. A 10-minute protest, like even just walking out on 10 minutes and coming back, those 10 minutes. I say 10 because January 2010 is when Gold and Sullivan come in and bought the club. So yeah, I think a seat protest where you just get up, you leave your seat for 10 minutes, come back, and then let the media have the imagery to support our campaign in getting these shysters out of the club. 7 only watching 2 likes. Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, please. I keep forgetting. Please like the video. I mean, we don't get many viewers on here. We don't get many likes either, but hopefully we can try and get something more up and running in the coming weeks. We're doing live streams every Thursday at 8:30. We talk dad life. We do quizzes. We do debates. We've got a new feature called Match of Debate, which Alex found a little bit funny. As soon as I said it, it was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, can't believe you've got away with that one. Looking to do a new feature with my old man. So my old man's going to come on, and Horton v Horton quizzes are quite painful, I think. So what I'm going to try and do is have the Hortons team up against my dad to see if they can knock him off his quiz throne, because my dad is a bit of a quiz bod. So we're going to try and get him on and do a little challenge feature with that. Some of the names were spattered out was the generational game, Daddy-ators. We've done Daddy-ators on the podcast, if those that used to listen. Beat the pacemaker, things like that is what we're trying to look at. So yeah, we'll look at some other features. But yeah, 11 viewers. Thank you. If you'll like the button, that'd be fantastic. That'd be great. I'm going to try and stay on for an hour. The only reason I'm doing this is because my wife and my daughter have gone out for the day, so I'm not here doing hands-on daddy daycare stuff. So I'm actually here potting around, and then I have got my little blue jobs to do, which is like take the bins out, wash the kitchen down, and whatnot. So yeah, Aaron Bissaka's a good player. The rest of them are constantly making mistakes. Putting youth aside, he's the only just signed, of course. Well, yeah, of course he has. Of course he has. There's always that element, but I just think it's just too rushed. I think it's too quick for him. I would have been playing Skulls. That's just my opinion. So the camera's blurry again. There we go. I think because I'm sitting too far back. If I sit closer, I'll probably see my meathead. All right, let's move closer. Yeah, Wan-Bissaka. To be honest, he's a good player for sure. But there was a few mistakes that he made, marking-wise and head aerial ability in the box. Fingers point to him as well yesterday. I'm not going to lie. If you stand still, I'll be mirrored around midfield. Yeah. I say I've got legs, but I can't use them. I can't run a bath, so I've always been known for my pace amongst my friends playing football, which is why I was always a centre half or a right back or a CDM, because I knew I didn't have to do much running in the middle of the midfield, which is quite the opposite of what West Ham actually need, isn't it? Put the camera in goal, yeah. At least there'll be some focus in there. Can our OGs look? How can our OGs look so crap? Yeah, it seems to move faster than spaghetti arms. Kicking the can down the road, sacking Potter. The ball needs to F off for us to progress. Yeah, we do. You know what? There's a damn it. I'm 39 years old this year, and I'm the big 40 next year. 39 years old this year, and 40% of my life, West Ham have been owned by David Gold and David Sullivan. 40% of my life. 15, 16 years, we've had this shit. We've had this West Ham propaganda, like almost force-fed like a duck with Farquhar. Like that's effectively what we are at the minute. And the sooner this ownership goes, the better. I mean, if you got to go and sign that BS out petition or SB out petition, or just go on Claret and Booze, get that link and sign that petition, because out of the fan base we've got 66,000 fans that go to that stadium, apparently, and only just under 8,000 people have signed it or signed and verified it. I think there's a lot more work that needs to be done on that, I'm afraid. yeah, so it sounds good. I'm off to get some pie mash. Good shout. Good shout. I haven't had that for ages, to be fair. I mean, living up in Essex, the pie mash shops here ain't great. The one in Braintree ain't great. Um, there's a nice cafe in Rayleigh that do pie mash apparently, Star Cafe I believe, but I might try and get that when I'm working in Rayleigh next time. I've lost hope. I don't lose hope, mate. Don't lose hope. You know, it is the hope that kills you, but don't stop supporting your club, regardless who owns it. You know, that's something my granddad taught me, that these colours here, the claret and blue, they'll never come out of you. They'll never leave you, and you'll pass those colours on. And whoever you pass it on to will pass those colours on. So it is a legacy. You know, pain is only temporary, and each day passes, you know, it's one day closer to BS going out one way or another. So yeah, so don't worry. We've only got Forest and Spuds next. Yes, we do in the Premier League, but we do have a little bit of hope in terms of playing Wolves in the League Cup. So they're probably on the same trajectory as we are at the minute. But at least they're buying players. They bought some decent players here. Sorry, my camera's shocking. Yeah, they've got some decent players. I like who's the player they got at the back, because there was a guy that's done a song. What's his name? Agbadu. That's it. I like Agbadu. Push by an apple, shake a treat. Agbadu, do. He's scoring on Tuesday. You can say that now. Yeah, but yeah. What are your hopes in the chat? I mean, if you've got a question you ask me, you've got like another 15 minutes. Just drop us a comment in the chat. Don't forget to like the video; it'd be much appreciated. Cool. Yeah. What hopes have we got? Bob Hope and no hope, and one's dead, as Rob likes to say. Yeah, no, I think it's game week 2. It's still early days. I mean, there have been a number of seasons where we've not performed. We're not been great starters in the Premier League. Let's get that right. We're not been great starters. The glaring statistic is that West Ham have lost 17 times on opening match day fixtures, conceding 53 goals. And that is the worst opening day Premier League record from any club in its entire history. So worst opening match day club to perform in the Premier League. You'll never sing that. But yeah, I say things can improve. We're in the mud. It does feel like quicksand, though, mate. Once you step foot in it, you sink, and you don't feel where you're gonna get out of it. Yeah, so it is a bit poo-poo at the minute. Let's not lie. And also, there was a stat there saying that West Ham, Graham Potter's first 2 games is the worst 2 games ever in West Ham's history in top flight football. No points, 8 goals conceded, 1 goal scored. Potter's points per game ratio has gone down to 1 point per game. 1 point per game. But based on that ratio, looks like we're going to stay up, doesn't it? If he's got 38 games and he gets 38 points over his points per game ratio, then it looks like we're going to stay up, because the magic number is now 35 and not 40, is what we're led to believe. But it does seem a bit more competitive down at the bottom. Let's get that right. But yeah, I reckon we'll easily smash Moyes' record, conceding 74 in a season, or whatever that was. That was his last season. And you know what? The vast majority of those goals came towards the back end of that season, because he knew he was on his way out. The first 6 months of that season, I believe we were top six, top six. I think we were top three for a top four for a good few months at the start of that season. That's the thing, West Ham, the ownership, if they stuck to their guns and wanted Moyes to stay a little bit longer, they should have just offered him a new deal after that Conference League win. There was massive calls there saying that, David Moyes needs to go. We need to evolve and have a better brand of football. Be careful what you wish for, bollocks. But in hindsight, you probably say, if the board were like, no, David Moyes is our man. I don't care what you think. The stats don't lie. We're giving him a new contract. They should have done it. But they don't know their arse from their elbow. So, yeah, that's the be all and end all of it. So the Sky Sports doing their fantastic job in terms of getting their stats up and running. West Ham are now being hot on favourites for relegation. Again, it's too early to tell. It's far too early to tell. We've still got 36 games to play this season. 36 games. And to stay up, you probably need 38 points, 35 points. So what's that? That's 10 wins and 5 draws out of 36 games remaining. So it's doable. It's doable. And to be honest, that's what David Sullivan wants. He's not financially competitive in the league. You ask any AI source or ChatGPT or whatever, Grok or whatever, ask them where they think they're gonna be finishing in the Premier League based off the financial ambition. Ask it. It will say 12th to 15th because that is where we're financially placing ourselves. That's how much money West Ham are spending to try and get that position. So if West Ham finish 14th again, David Sullivan is there loving it. He's loving it because he knows he gets another £200 million that he can take out a loan against our assets of Porter Cabins and Little Heath and Chadwell Heath, and it's that's the worry. What do I think will happen in the next week? It's easy to say nothing, but there's a reason why he took a loan out against the TV rights for an upfront fee. There's a reason why Sullivan took out a £200 million loan with a TV media rights company and paying them £30 million of that. And that is to provide the monies, the cash to reinvest in the squad. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at it with West Ham goggles off and just seeing it from a financial point of view. Why has he taken that money out? He doesn't need to take that money out, but he's taking it out. For what reason? He's taken the loan against the TV rights to potentially have over £100 million to spend in the last week of the window and go and get these signings that we want. There's fantastic bit of positivity. Things will get better, guys. Come on. West Ham, Sunderland have massively improved in their squad, and Chelsea, well, we'll know. Well, yeah, they're 2 billion quid. 2 billion quid they've spent, haven't they? Their midfield was over £200 million alone. 10% of their entire budget was spent on their centre midfielders. But it's dodge, isn't it? It's dodge what they've done, and they've done it. They've bent the rules, and they've got round it. They've got round the loopholes and everything. So it's I'd say maybe that's another suggestion West Ham could get out of this. Do we take a PSR hit? Do we get punished? Because we don't get punished financially. You only get punished by points deductions. Now, if West Ham went out and spent, right, okay, sod this, we're going to spend £300 million and we're just going to buy everyone. We're just going to buy everyone. We're going to break all our wage structures. We're going to break our sustainability rules. We're not in Europe. We ain't got to comply with UEFA's regs. Do West Ham go out and breach at PSR for the sake of 8 points. Because everyone else is doing it. Nottingham Forest done it, didn't they? They went and spent £200 million or whatever on players like Morgan Gibbs-White, Neco Williams, who's Elanga, Timo Taiwo, or whatever his name was, Matt Sells, Mikulenkovic. They bought and went and aggressively bought all these players. Look where they are now. They were on the cusp of Champions League football last year, but they took a hit the season before. So is it worth taking a hit now, knowing that we're going to get a points deduction? We're in the bottom half of the table anyway. Let's spend that money. Let's spend 300 million quid. Let's break all the rules and just about survive, because next season we'll have a team that's worth 400 million quid, 500 million quid. Do we go out and just go, you know what, Bruno Guimaraes, yeah, we'll buy him. How much do you want? Yeah, we'll buy him. Do we just go out and do it? Do we go out at the risk of PSR points deduction? Because will you get it this season? You probably won't. You'll probably get it next season. So if you get it next season, right, then you've already got a team there that'll probably be competing at the top half of the table. So even if you're top 4 and you've got like 20 odd points or something after the first 4 months of the season, right? You get -8. We're in no worse position. We'll be in a better position than what we were this season, next season, despite taking a financial a points deduction. We go and bend the rules, because Man City look like they're going to get away with their 116 points. Chelsea, let's not forget them. They've got about 60 points with the Premier League and the FA that are not being spoken about. Also, all that transition for Roman Abramovich and stuff like that. Everton got financially punished for investing in their stadium and trying to offset those losses against COVID, which was the tolerance. Yeah, that was an admin error, and they got punished for it. Nottingham Forest have gone out and got PSR stuff. Leicester City got financial PSR punishment, but that was retrospective to them being in the Championship. And then when they got promoted, because of breaching those rules, they got the Premier League money, and now they're starting the next season with a punishment, and still got Premier League players. Still can compete and still can get out of the Championship with the players that they got. Now, West Ham, just break the rules. Everyone else is doing it. Newcastle are like, oh, you know what? We can't retain Isak because we can't abide to the PSR rules. If everyone breaks the rules, everyone's in the same boat. So the rules are not going to be there for long. If everyone gone out and just went, you know what, 20 clubs are going to sit together, you know what, we're going to spend whatever we want. We're going to spend whatever we want. They can't relegate 20 teams, can they? They can't punish 20 teams. What are they going to do? Have a complete flip of leagues? So the Championship now is the Premier League, and the Premier League now play a league below. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like PSR is just a barrier for us to achieve what we want to achieve. And hopefully, I think this is the last season of PSR, because it looks like it's going to be like the commercial revenue fracture. So if West Ham's commercial revenue is say £360 million, then they could spend up to 80% of that just on the team. But the thing is that the owners, we got a 17th richest, or the club is the 17th richest club in the world football, and we're pleading poverty. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But we've got Nottingham Forest in the Premier League next, and they might be managerless by the time they play us. A manager that could probably come into West Ham and actually work wonders. Could actually work wonders. He's a former goalkeeper himself, and he likes to have a ball-playing goalkeeper at the back. He's got experience with Max Kilman. He likes playing with Portuguese-speaking players like Paquetá. You know, I would not rule out anything happening now. If I'm honest, if Potter looks like he's going to go or he's going to walk or whatever, then I wouldn't rule out Espirito Santo coming in. But knowing Marinakis, he's probably made him sign a new deal last year to say that he's got a no-compete clause if he gets relieved of his services in the Premier League. So I would probably, yeah, that's it. I wouldn't rule it out, but I wouldn't be hopeful of him being West Ham manager next after the transfer window. But West Ham need to act sharpish. I've got 5 minutes left on the stream. West Ham need to act sharpish. They need to sort something out, and it'll be interesting to see in this final 5 minutes, 4 minutes. Tell me who you think West Ham should sign in the comments. Who do you think West Ham should sign in the next week? Now, I put out a shout on the stream on Thursday, and we don't even have to buy this player. We could loan him. And you look at the top 6 teams, you look at the big 6, not top 6, the big 6. Your Arsenals, your Liverpools, your Man Cities, your Chelseas, your Man Uniteds, right? And that other lot in North London. Look at them and look at their squad depth and look at the players that they've brought in and look at the players that they need to sell or would like to sell to comply with PSR. Now, who do you think would be a good fit for West Ham and what they need as a loan deal? Drop your comment. Seriously, drop me your comments. I really want to see what you think. I really want to see who you think is going to come in, or who could do a role. So drop your comments. Who do you think out of the top 6, a fringe player that's not playing at the moment, could come to the club on loan? There's been talk about Andre Santos from Chelsea, who come on last night. You got talk from Charlie Chukwuemeka at Chelsea. There's talk of Raheem Sterling. There's talk of Leandro Trossard, although he signed a new contract to extend it to 2027, which is just an insurance policy for Arsenal. He could still go out on loan if Martinelli doesn't get sold. So there's players there. I've been waiting for ex-West Ham employee for his next update. His podcast will be worth listening to on Monday. Yeah, 100%. I love X's podcast, especially Dave. And to be fair, I'm going to protect these guys because I'll tell you what, a lot of fans give them stick for charging £5 on their Patreon. Do they have a gun to people's heads to suggest you've got to pay us £5? No, they're doing a Patreon because that's their job. That's their livelihood. That's their full-time job, doing that show. But you don't have to pay for it if you don't really want to. But they're not charging for transfer news. They're charging because they have to pay guests to appear on their shows. They do interviews with Ricardo Vaste recently, and they get Martin Allen, they get Tony Cottee. You think they're doing it for free? No, they need to have an income to be able to pay these people to literally get the content out there and get an understanding of what these other people are. They've got to pay people. They ain't going to do it for nothing, are they? So if you've got to pay a £5 a month, that's a cost of coffee. Or that's a Tim Hortons breakfast, like that's nothing. It's nothing. And the guy, yeah, they do an insight. They do the transfer news. They don't have to. They don't have to let us know, but they do. And that's just part of the package, isn't it? They don't go out there and say, oh, they charge £5 for transfer news. It's bullshit. Like, they do it because it's their job. It's their job. I'm an architect, right? Imagine me going out and doing jobs for nothing. Ain't going to happen, is it? Oh, do you want a house built? Yeah, I'll design it. Yeah. How long is it going to take? That's going to take about 2 months. Okay. Can you do it for nothing? Yeah, sure. That's fine. I haven't got bills to pay. I haven't got a mouth to feed. Just get off the bandwagon of criticising ex-West Ham employee and Dave Walker for doing their job. They're paid by us, the fans, because they do good stuff. That's the end of it. Andre Santos isn't leaving. Yeah, no, I think. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Who knows who Chelsea might buy? They still haven't played Gittins. Palmer was injured yesterday. If Palmer isn't injured, is Santos playing? I don't think he does he? So, I think he performed. It was probably one of the most outstanding players in League R last year, but for Strasbourg, and his stats are quite evident there. But a loan deal would be great development for him in the Premier League, whether it's at West Ham or any club. I think anywhere he goes, if he goes, he'll do very, very well. So yeah, same here, mate. I'm Patreon member. Same, exactly the same. Exactly the same. If we end up doing Patreon, that's our job, then that's because we're doing it full time. We're not doing it full time. We're doing it part time. We're doing it because we've got full time jobs. I watched that game. I'm an Arsenal fan. I think you have a solid attack. The issue is the defence. You can also look into signing a goalkeeper. We've signed a goalkeeper, and Kirill might be available. Also, Donnarumma. Yeah, Donnarumma ain't coming, mate. He's on about 400 grand a week. Although his price could be like 40 million quid, but he ain't coming to us. He's signed to PSG on a free from AC Milan, and they can say, right, okay, we're going to sell him for 40 million pounds. It might sound cheap, but that's 40 million pounds pure profit for PSG, and they get a significant amount of wages off their books. So they've probably done their time. They've done what they needed to do in terms of Champions League. They've writ themselves in history, and they don't need that keeper anymore. So now they can evolve from him and profit from him. So Donnarumma. Kirill, I like Kirill. West Ham were linked with him years ago when he was at Spiezia, I believe, Spiezia in Serie A, where you got him from. And I think it was us and you that were in contention of buying him, and you've ended up buying him. So Kirill, I think, it would be a fantastic player. I'd take Kirill, but then we'd have three right backs or left back. Is he a left back or right back? I think he's a right back, isn't he, Kirill? Might be mistaken on that. They didn't. They never got that Savio Nasarenko money back. But yeah, that's our money, by the way. Savio stole our money because we're patrons and we pay for it. So when you look at it that way, he's stolen off West Ham fans in more ways than one. Okay, so my suggestion. Right, I've gone over the hour now. I'm going to say my suggestion and then we'll kick off. But don't forget to like and comment and hit the notification bell for when we go live, because when we go live, it's every Thursday, 8:30, live stream, myself, Rob, Callum, with guests, with quizzes, with debates, with FPL Talk, with ChatGPT. We challenge ChatGPT at FPL, and it'll be interesting to see what their marks up. My suggestion: West Ham need a midfielder with legs. There's a player that is on the cusp of England squad. He played at the last Euros and made a significant impact at the age that he was, playing in that CDM role, taking over from Trent Alexander-Arnold in that role. My pick, and this is a player that his parent club want to sell him. They actually want to get rid of him. And he's an academy product because of the PSR rules, right? That player's Kobe Mainoo. Now, people will laugh and say he's far better than West Ham. He's far better than what West Ham are. But if there's a deal to be had for Kobe Mainoo to come in, he commands that centre midfield. 100%. We instantly improve like that. That is an absolute no-brainer of a deal. If we can get something over the line for that, I think that'll be as good a signing as what Jesse Lingard was in this shirt. Kobe Mainoo to West Ham. What do you think? What do you think? Drop comments in the comment box, not the live. Drop the comments in the comments box. But when I said that name on Thursday, it just appeared to me, and I thought, you know what? That's a player that's available. He needs game time because he's got a World Cup year ahead of him. And if he's not playing, and if he's sitting on Man United's bench trying to impress Amorim, who's a bit stubborn and knows he's going to be relying on Ugarte, Casemiro, and those players moving forward, experience for him to do his job, then Mainoo could be going to another club in the not so distant future, over the next week. And why not West Ham? He'll get games at West Ham. He'll have an entire year. If we finish international rescue is what we need. Dad is on the stream. You should get back to work. Yeah, so Kobe Mainu, that's my pick. Right, I'm going to shoot off. I'm 5 minutes over. Thank you for the live stream. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for interacting. It's much appreciated. I don't do this regularly, only because weekend time is family time. And if I'd done YouTube channels and live streams all the time when I should be looking after my daughter or taking my dog for a walk or taking my family out for lunch, then there's something wrong. Football, podcasting, anything like that is all materialistic because your family come first. So remember that. Remember that if you're going out and you're missing out much valuable time with your family and you're choosing to go to a West Ham game knowing that you're going to lose, over watching your kids grow up and having that quality time with them and having a beer and not having the money to go and do it, then maybe you need, and then you're going there and you're watching West Ham lose 5-1, knowing that knowing that you're going to lose that game. Just have a step back and look in the mirror and think, where's the importance? If I don't go to West Ham, what happens? Nothing. West Ham ain't going to benefit you being there or not being there, but your kids do. Your kids remember the times you ain't there. So this is why we only do this podcast part-time. We'd like to grow it. And if we do grow it and if we do end up earning money from it, we'll be gifting that money and donating it to kids that can't afford a pair of football boots, or families that can't afford a pair of football boots and stuff like that, or can't afford their first kit or anything like that. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying we're going to earn hundreds and hundreds of pounds, but if we did, that's what we'd do, because we've got full-time jobs. That's our careers. That's what we've worked hard for. This is just a bit of fun for us. But the time but we only do this outside of time when it doesn't affect family time. If it affects family time, this podcast will not happen. It will not happen. If it does, we'll cancel it. So so West Ham, shit at the minute, but it's game week 2. Thank you. Drop a like and see ya on Thursday night at 8:30. Peace out.
Hola, and we cheer, and we spill a bit of beer. Raise a glass to the past and the mates who ain't here. From Highbury to Upton Park, it's now Ashburton and Stratford for a lark. It's the Old Dad's Our Job podcast, the heart of the game.